Okay, today we're going to talk about integers and absolute value, and this is covering standard 7.1, investigating and describing the concept of negative exponents for powers of 10, determining scientific notation in square roots, and identifying and describing the absolute value for rational numbers. So, what is an integer? You probably remember from last year, an integer is a whole number, or as we also call them, counting numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, 0, and their opposites. So if you look at this number line here, we have 0 as the center, and as we go in the positive direction, the numbers go on forever. Those are our positive integers. Integers also include the opposites. So the opposite of 1 is -1. The opposite of 2 is -2. So integers include 0, whole numbers, and the opposite of the whole numbers, which are their negatives. Absolute value. The absolute value of an integer is the distance between the number and 0 on a number line. The absolute value of a number is written with 2 lines and a number in between. So the absolute value here is saying the absolute value of a number A is written with 2 lines and A in between. So the absolute value of 4 would be written like this. The absolute value of -3 would be written this way. The 2 lines, this and this, represent that they want you to find the absolute value of that number. The most important thing about absolute value is to remember it is always positive. The reason it's always positive is because absolute value is the distance between the number and 0 on a number line. So if we go back to if we look at our number line here, and I wanted to find the absolute value of -3, I would look at -3 here and figure out the distance from that number to 0. So if we count, it's 1, 2, 3. So the absolute value of -3 is 3, because the distance from -3 to 0 is 3. 1, 2, 3. If we wanted to find the absolute value of +4, we would do the same thing. Figure out the distance from 4 to 0. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4. The absolute value of 4 is 4. Again, both our numbers here are positive. We do a practice problem. This is again showing you how absolute value is always positive. So to find the absolute value of 4, we're going to locate 4 on the number line and count how many units it is away from 0. 1, 2, 4. Absolute value of +4 is 4. Find the absolute value of -4. Find -4 on the number line, and how many units is it away from 0? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the absolute value of -4 is 4. So let's find the absolute value of -3. You should be writing this on your paper. The absolute value of -3, you're going to find the distance from -3 to 0. Now find the absolute value of 5. How many units away from 0 is 5? For the last question, it's asking which is greater, the absolute value of -2 or -1. For this question, you need to first figure out what the absolute value of -2 is. So the absolute value of negative 2 is equal to 2 because it's 2 units away from 0. So now we are comparing 2 and negative 1. And I think you can figure out which is greater. Here are some key notes to remember. Absolute value is always positive. Integers are whole numbers, 0 and their opposites. And be sure to use 2 lines to show absolute value.